Hello and welcome to Portland. This is Blue Lake Disc Golf Course, home of the Portland Open, as well as the 2014 Worlds, where Paul McBeth won in incredible fashion over Ricky Wysocki. He and Rick went to a sudden death playoff where they kept trading birdie after birdie after birdie. Paul ultimately prevailed and was crowned world champion on hole 7 here at Blue Lake, winning his third Worlds in a row. Here are some clips from this amazing video, which I'll put a link to on the end screen of this video. But recently, I was able to visit Oregon and I had to come play this World Championship layout. And since the course is in a bit of a different layout than when Paul won almost 10 years ago, I thought I would play against him using his score from last year here at the Portland Open, as it's in the same layout than when I played it. I want to find out two things during this video. One, how badly will a 6-time world champion beat me? And two, what will a 932 rated Amateur's rating be on a professional course that's over 10,000 feet long? Let's find out. Starting off here on hole 1, this is a 455-foot par 3. You can see there's kind of a narrow gap on either side with trees lining the fairway. Super low ceiling, so the traditional play is to throw a backhand roller off the tee to try to get down as close as possible here in circle 1. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm throwing kind of a flippy wraith, but as you see here, it just did not go well. This is kind of an excuse. We just got off the plane here in Portland, and this is one of the first things we did. But it did roll pretty far down the fairway. It kind of came back to the middle there, as you see. And so I'm going to be left with this buzz up shot. And I'm just trying to get close somewhere in the circle, which I do. And hopefully I can kind of tap this in. There was a practice basket, so I did get a few putts under my belt. One thing I'm going to do at the bottom of the screen here is you're going to see Paul's score as well. So there you can see we're both even through hole 1. Hole 2 is a 425-foot par 3. There's a Mando on the right to kind of prevent you from going out over the street. I don't have the distance to get there on a forehand, which is probably the optimal play. And so I'm just going to try to throw it right in front of this tree as the hyzer's out there before the out of bounds on the left. The out of bounds, by the way, on this course is awful. It's super tough rough with lots of thorns, so you do not want to go in there. I was able to get this kind of a jump putt bid there from probably outside of circle 2, but I'll have a nice little tap in to stay even through 2 holes. Paul, of course, got that one, so he is 1 under. Hole 3 is a par 4, 550 feet. This is a really interesting dogleg left where you can almost go too far, and so you don't want to do that off the tee. Just kind of throw something controlled. A lot of people who have the power will go over the top. However, I'm just going to throw, again, that kind of same wraith out and get around the corner, which I do pretty well. And you can see the basket's pretty far there, a little bit too far for my forehand again. I have kind of a wimpy forehand. But this buzz shot was nice. It went right around that corner. Again, kind of circle edge putts. Nailed it. I was super excited about that. First take. So I actually tied it up with Paul. We're both 1 under through 3 holes. Hole 4 is a par 3, 295 feet. Pretty straightforward hole here. There is out of bounds on the left side that kind of pinches up close next to the basket. And that tree on the right by the basket, you really don't want to end up in there as it's pretty thick. Anyway, I should have checked the tee pad. Look how muddy that is. In fact, I'm going to slip right there, causing me to yank my disc way right. It does land in the fairway, but not the greatest shot. Here's a slow-mo. Yeah, not good. Anyway, I just have to lay it up kind of outside of circle 2 here, and so I don't want to go deep into the out of bounds, and that will leave me with a par, staying 1 under through 4 holes. Paul was able to get that one, but that takes us to hole 5, which is a par 4, 575 foot. This is a dogleg right. You got to go straight for quite a ways before the hole bends to the right, and I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I could maybe try to cut off some of that bend by turning my disc over, but just too much. As you can see, it goes right into that hillside, which is safe, but it's not really where you want to be. This next shot, I'm going to have to go through these 2 trees. Behind it is out of bounds, and somehow it trickles down through this tree. You can see right there, and I end up in the short grass, so it's still safe, but I just have to flick something up to take another par. This is one hole I kind of want back. Paul was able to get that one, so that takes us to the shortest hole on the course, 270-foot par 3 for hole 6. This one, I don't have the elevated basket like he has, but it's pretty straightforward through this little bit of a gap here. Again, I'm going with the buzz off the tee. Had to jump over a puddle there at the end of the tee pad, but man, I thought that was in for a second. That was looking really good. Ended up just a bit short, but nice easy tap in for my second birdie here at Blue Lake, taking me to 2 under through 6 holes. Paul was also able to get that one, so he's 4 under. You can see he's already kind of taking a commanding lead. That takes us to hole 7, which is a par 4, 825 feet. Back when Paul won his world championship in 2014, this was a par 5. And it was kind of over that fence there, a little bit further. And so really it's just maybe 50 to 100 feet less. Now, guys, I played this hole wrong. I don't know what I was doing. After hole 6, I went to the short pad on hole 7. And I have some footage here that, it just doesn't quite represent the length of the kind of the main tee pad, or the golds, you might say. So anyway, I came back later in my trip and I did play the long tee pad, and I was able to take a bogey. And so that's what I'm going to give myself here, even though from the shorts I played it as a par. I will take a bogey on that one because I played it incorrectly. Hole 8 is a par 3, 315 foot kind of forehand hole. And again, my forehand isn't the greatest, and so it's really kind of stretching me. There's also a super nasty rough with all these thorns on the left here, so that caused me to go a little bit skyward with my forehand, and it's kind of a lucky thing that I did, because as you'll see here in a second, I ended up right in front of this creek, which does play out of bounds, and therefore I still had a bit of a putt at it, as I'm still safe. And so I'm probably just inside circle 2 here. Give it a little bit of a go, but just over the top. And so I'm going to have to, again, settle for another par if I can make this 18-footer, probably 15-footer, which I do. And so another par doesn't hurt anyone, but I am 1 under through those first 8 holes. Hole 9, they call this the easiest hole on tour. This is a par 4, 515 feet, so pretty short. And even though it's short like this, off the tee, you really have to pump it. So those pros, it's probably easy for them. I was throwing it with everything I had here. I know some of those guys actually club down a little bit because they can throw too far. That is not a problem for me at all. But I do get into this kind of open space. I have a nice little forehand into the basket here with a Firebird. And hang it out just a little bit wider than I wanted to. But it does end up inside the circle. Probably about a 20-footer, which I just snuck over the rim there to get another birdie. So I am 2 under through those first 9 holes. Paul was 5 under. We have another forehand hole here, hole 10, which is a par 3, 295-foot hole. Let's see if I can correct my mistake from hole 8 and throw us a little bit lower and try to avoid that out of bounds on the left side, which I do. And it's still pretty high. You kind of see it come down there at the bottom of your screen, and I got up to the hole and it was really close. It was way closer than I expected. A little bit of a death putt though. I did not know that creek was that close behind it. So another birdie there on hole 10. Hole 11, this hole is weird. It's 670 feet, par 4. There's a little creek there we just passed over, and then the second part of the hole kind of plays like an island that you have to land on. And so this first shot's just a placement. I'm throwing a big hyzer out here, letting it kind of fade back inbounds. Got to really ride that OB line. And then this next shot, it's tough. You have to throw over this little creek, and it's hard to judge how far to throw it because there's just kind of danger everywhere over here. And I was able to get it down and safe, but you can still see I'm pretty far away from the basket. I gotta go through those 2 little trees there, skip something up here with I think it's just my buzz, and I end up about 15 to 18 feet short. But if I can get this, it'll be a perfect par that I am happy to take. That was a tough hole. Look how tight this gap is here on hole 12. Hole 12 is a par 3, 400 foot through this tight gap and then out to this open little area and then back into this real thick cluster of trees. It is super hard to get it there, and so I thought my best bet would be just to make the gap with a forehand, which I was able to do. A little bit high again. That's kind of a theme with my forehands, looks like. And then well short, so I just have to play a layup shot with a overstable putter, kind of bend it in. A little bit too stable, but close enough. You just have to navigate all these trees in here. And yeah, pretty easy par, but that's a tough birdie. Hole 13, this is a lengthy par 4, 655 feet. Again, you really got to pump it. The fairway is a lot tighter than it looks. The left and the right rough is super thick. This fairway is not too wide at all. So I'm just throwing, I think, just a raider off the tee, and it bends to the right real nice, and then also has that stability to come back. This was by far probably my furthest shot of the day. I think I measured it right around 420 feet. And so then I kind of fluff this up shot. I I should have hung it out a little bit more to the right and pushed it a little bit lower to get closer to the basket, but a little bit outside of circle 2. Give it a go, but just not quite good enough, so I got to tap in another par. A lot of pars on this course. I think this is a course where if you played it enough, you would be able to find those landing zones and be able to score a little bit better. But this was my first time playing it. I was playing it pretty blind. But anyway, let's go to hole 14. This is a par 4, 875-foot hole. Again, this is one that used to be a par 5 back when Paul won his 2014 Worlds. Just have to pump something as hard as you can off the tee. And if you go too far, there is a little bit of an out of bounds area. Again, that's not an issue for me, as my max is maybe 400, 420 or so. Same thing with the second shot. If you go too far on it, we go to a second group of out of bounds. You can see it's starting to rain on me. Portland, I'm finding it just rains whenever the heck it wants. And so a lot of this round, there was rain everywhere. Threw a little upshot close there and then took another par. So that would have been a birdie back in the 2014 World, so I'll take it. Hole 15 is a par 4, 780 feet. Another super long par 4. That's kind of the name of the game out here. It's just a really long course, over 10,000 feet. It was raining really hard on this hole. Splashed down in the puddle there. See if you can see my disc. There is rough out to the left if you go too far. See this tree in the middle of the fairway? That's where the pros usually land, and so I am nowhere close. I'm going to try to cut this corner a little bit, and it is safe over there. This rough, it's kind of a dogleg left. There's rough, and then, yeah, you can see I'm framed up pretty nice for a little throw-in putter. Try just to get this thing close, maybe give it a run, but yeah, that should be well inside the circle, about 18 feet away for another par. And there it is. Let's see. Was Paul able to get that one? No. In fact, he actually bogeyed, I think it was hole 11. So we're within 2 strokes of each other. I'm -3, he's -5. Hole 16 is a par 4, 795 feet. Really bends to the right. And so again, kind of a placement shot with a big hyzer off the tee. Having to jump all these puddles at the end of the tee pads. This is up here by the short tee, and then I don't know what I was thinking on this next shot. I thought I could maybe get there in 2, and you can see my disc kind of flips over on me a little bit. Probably trying to throw a little bit too hard, and it never gets back in bounds. So I'm gonna have to just go up to the corner of this out of bounds right here, and hopefully get it close to the basket. Which this buzz shot was real nice. It comes back with that late fade and slides up there to about 5 feet or so. So I will, since I went out of bounds, I will drop a stroke here, take a bogey. But it's just the second bogey of the round. Pretty happy about that. Paul was able to get that one, so now he has a 4-stroke lead on me. The longest hole on the course is hole 17. This is a par 5. It still is a par 5, 925 feet. Believe it or not, Paul eagled this at one point in his career. And you're kind of tucked way back here. You got to throw it out between these 2 thick trees. I went to the right side of this one, but it does curl back around nicely. And that is in bounds. And then the fairway just gets a little bit interesting. It's kind of real tight. You see this next shot looking good, but I nail a tree late and it kicks me down. And so I don't get quite the distance that I was hoping for. If I want any chance of the birdie, I'm going to have to get close on this shot. Which I threw it really well. But it's just such a long hole, I don't quite get there. And so I have just a small putter up shot here. That's throwing my 4th, and then the next one should be a tap-in par. Yeah, there we go. Tap in the par. Of course, Paul was able to get that one. He has no trouble with distance. All right, that brings us to our last hole, hole 18, which is a par 4, 600-foot dogleg left. If you get up to this road, it should leave you a pretty decent upshot in for hopefully a birdie attempt. By the way, guys, as I tee off for my last one here, if you've liked this video, please leave a thumbs up down below. That really helps this video spread to more people. And I can keep making more of these videos at hopefully other championship level courses that they play out on the Pro Tour. You can see my drive went a little bit nose up. I was a little bit nervous about this OB on the left, but just barely stayed on the safe side of it, forcing me to a forehand standstill shot, which hyzered out a little bit too early for me. I need more of a straighter disc there, I think. And so I'm going to have this last birdie attempt, give it everything I have, barely sails over the top of the basket there, and you can see I just tap out. I was done. Over 10,000 foot course, guys. So that's Blue Lake Disc Golf Course. Remember, we had those two questions at the beginning of the video. One, how badly was a 6-time world champion and Paul McBeth able to beat me in Amateur? And you can see he finished at -8. He was able to birdie that last hole, and I finished at -2. The second thing we were going to ask is, me, a normally 932 rated amateur, what would my rating look like here on a pro level course? You can see it's actually 10-13 based off of last year's conditions. There might be something there if you're into those ratings. Maybe go play some of those harder courses the pros play. That might boost your ratings. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with one final shot. My favorite shot here from Blue Lake. That's hole 6. I almost aced it, I thought. So I'll throw a flight tracker on there. You can see how close I actually got. And until next time, we'll see you guys out there on the course.